Texas A&M corner Sam McCall intends to enter the portal when it opens. Like we talked about with Jacoby Matthews, it hurts to lose a player with a ton of upside, but the Aggies still have a ton of great players at the corner position.
You are Locked On Aggies, your daily podcast on the Texas A&M Aggies. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome on in to Locked On Aggies. I'm your host, Andrew Stefaniak. Thanks for making Locked On Aggies your first listen every single day. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code Locked On for $20 off your first purchase. So, Sam McCall, we find out that he plans to enter the portal when it opens. And as I, open the show with, it's the same conversation we had the other day with Jacoby Matthews deciding he was going to do the same thing. It hurts to lose a player. Now, I'm more upset about the loss of Matthews than I am the loss of McCall, in all honesty. But, McCall is a talented football player that has upside. He does. There is upside there. Came from Florida State, was a super highly ranked recruit. Didn't see the field a ton last year, which to me was a little bit telling, knowing how bad Texas A&M secondary was. It's like, man, if you're struggling to get on the field last season, there's something going on here. So now one thing, I guess he'll have to sit out because – or no, maybe I don't know. There's all these new legislative rules of the portal. Maybe not. I guess not. I don't know. But Sam McCall is plans to hit the portal. He did have a ton of upside. Once, like I said, ranked super high, was the guy that I was high on. I wanted to see more of last year. But we didn't see a ton of them. And I think, once again, I think that was somewhat telling. I think that he is going to kind of move on, find a new place to play. But Texas A&M is still in a really good spot. Listen to these names. Every name that I'm about to read is a player I think could legitimately start and play a ton of snaps next season for Texas A&M at corner. 5-star Terry Bussey, Donovan Saunders, the transfer, Will Lee, the transfer, Des Ricks, the transfer, BJ Mays, Jaden Hill, Javon Thomas, Bravion Rogers. I mean, that is, let's count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 dudes. There's a massive thunderstorm going on, by the way, if y'all are wondering what all that is. If you can hear that, maybe you can't. But 8 dudes, legitimately, who can play corner for Texas A&M. I mean, I feel good about that depth. I think, losing McCall, I always sound like a broken record when I start talking about depth at positions in football because it's so important to me. You want to have as many possible guys, as you can at every position who can play because in college football, you have injuries. They are going to happen. It happens all the time. You're going to see some of these corners go down with injuries. That's just the reality here. So having an extra guy never hurts, especially a guy like McCall, who, as I said, I do think had a ton of upside. But every name and there's more names, but there's more names I could list for the corner room, but these are the guys that I'm excited about. Look at it like this, Des Ricks, ton of eligibility. Terry Bussey literally is going to be a true freshman. The path to playing time is tough if you are a guy like Sam McCall. How do you get in the lineup? How do you stay in lineup unless you just flat out say, you can't keep me off the field. I'm better than some of these guys. That is the only thing you can really do here. That is the only way that I think you can get and stay on the field. If you're Sam McCall, is you flat out beat out 8 or 9 players who I'm excited about. So now I will add this. I mean, I read somewhere that Texas A&M was over on scholarships, so I mean they were going to have to lose some guys. That's just the reality of the situation. And as I said before, in the spring, we're going to kind of learn about this roster. Does Coach Elko, Coach Klein, does this staff feel good about where they're at? I do think a lot of times you bring in players in the portal, and some of them maybe they don't pan out, maybe whatever it is, and you kind of go, ooh, we need to go add a couple more guys at this position or this position. So, as I said when Jacoby Matthews said he plans to hit the portal, as I will say right now after Sam McCall says he intends to hit the portal, Texas A&M is going to have more players leave. That's just the reality here. And I think if you have a handful of guys leave, you have a handful of guys come in. Now, I do think that the guys that are leaving in this portal window are looking for a better situation for themselves. So what I kind of mean is, they're players who, we don't know what their role was going to be this year. We don't know how much playing time they were going to get. Those are the type of guys that are going to leave. And then so there's a lot of players like that in the portal that maybe couldn't find a home and couldn't find a role wherever they were. But there are also players who had to go back for spring to be able to use their grad transfer. So you could go get a 1-year rental, as I talk about all the time, a 1-year rental via grad transfer year, just someone you could come in and be on the team a year, be on campus for 7 months, get an extra degree, whatever they want to do, and play football. So you can get a couple guys like that. So this is when we're going to learn about the roster. Coach Elko and the offensive coaches are going to decide, hey, okay, what do we need? Do we feel good about receiver? Do we feel good about offensive line? As I said, I would not be surprised if in the next portal window, the staff brought in another offensive tackle, unless A, the guys you brought in start killing it, or B, some of the young guys prove, hey, we can play right now. So that's going to be important, seeing that pan out. But I mean, once again, to just reiterate this again, I mean, you're allowed to be upset about this. You're more than welcome to be. Sam McCall was a player with upside who I think still has a good college football career ahead of him. I just think Texas A&M is absolutely stacked at the corner position. Now, could Donovan Saunders and Will Lee and Des Ricks and these other transfers not pan out? Maybe, maybe. And then you go, man, I wish we had Sam McCall. But right now, where we sit, there are 8 guys who I feel really good could play relevant snaps for Texas A&M at corner this season. 8 names. So what I'm getting at here is I think it's a position where there's a ton of depth. Now, there wasn't heading into the portal. The coaching staff did a really good job in the portal window bringing these guys in. But, I mean, once again, I feel really good. Like the players, I love Donovan Saunders, Will Lee, and Des Ricks. I feel really, really good about them. Uh-oh, there's the tornado alarm. Woo! We'll see what happens, ladies and gentlemen. But I feel really good about those 3 guys. And then Terry Bussey, we know who you're getting in Terry Bussey. You want an incredible football player who, as Brian Smith said when he was on the show. Oh, also, Brian Smith news when it comes to recruiting. No show with Brian this week. He is traveling for a recruiting event, and he didn't have any Thursday availability. So Brian will not be on the show this week, but he'll be back normal time Friday next week. So just wanted to add that little programming note. So you'll have to deal with me for an extra day this week. But once again, losing a player with upside stinks. But this room is deep and this room is talented, and I still feel really good about Texas A&M and where they sit when it comes to the corner position. So now I don't want to lose many more guys. I don't want to see any more guys hit the portal. But where we're at right now, this room's going to be okay. And once again, for those who are going to say this, I'm not saying it's completely fine. You're losing a player with upside, but as I said, there's a bunch of names of players who can play, and I feel really good about. So I think Texas A&M is going to be just fine after losing McCall. Best of luck to him as he looks to find a new home and a place to finish his college football career and really try and take his game to the next level. The baseball team is 8-0 after a 13-2 win over Lamar. The Bats were absolutely killing it once again. We'll talk about this baseball game coming up right here on Locked On Aggies. But first, I got to tell you about our friends over at Game Time. Game Time is the best place to go get your tickets. Whether it's last minute, however you get them, Game Time is the place to be. Going to concerts, going to sporting events, going to see a comedian, whatever it is you're going to. You want to save money doing that. You don't want to spend a ton of money. That's as I always say when we talk about our friends at Game Time, these events are what bring us joy in life. You want to and when you're spending an arm and a leg to go to these events, it takes some of the joy out of them. So my point here is Game Time is the best place to go get your tickets because they're in the business of saving you money, and that is what I love about Game Time. I also love that on the app, you can see where your seat is going to be when you're buying the ticket. Ooh, I like this seat better than this seat. About the same price. I'm going to get this one. You can see that. I love that feature in the app. If you download the Game Time app and use code Locked On, they'll give you $20 off your first purchase. Once again, download the Game Time app and use code Locked On. They'll give you 20% off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. So, the baseball team is 8-0, which before we get into this game, the 13-2 7-inning win over Lamar, I want to continue adding this. So, first thing, 2 points. The first point is there's going to be the folks that say, well, Texas A&M haven't played anybody. Yeah, this is a little bit true. But that's going to change this weekend as you play Arizona State twice, you play USC, you play these 2 games in Arlington, and then you play the Longhorns in a midweek. That's coming up. So that's going to end. That will no longer be something people could say after this weekend. But for the folks that are saying that, I think the people saying that, in all honesty, just don't understand the sport of baseball when it comes to how hard it is to win games. Yes, Texas A&M has not played a super high-quality opponent yet. I'm not going to fight you on that. I will not. But what I will fight you on is the fact that winning 8 baseball games in a row, I mean, here's the deal. Now, this is different. But the Dodgers will lose. Who even is the worst team in the MLB this year? It's not my team, so that's why I don't know. But, the Dodgers, the Braves, they're going to lose one to the Marlins. The Marlins are kind of meh. Okay, there you go, Marlins. It's gonna happen. Now, that doesn't completely compare to playing Lamar or playing Wagner. It's not entirely the same thing, but there's kind of similarities. I mean, it's losing baseball games. It is the sport where anybody on any given night can beat anybody. So winning 8 games in a row on the diamond is impressive. I don't care who you're playing. Seriously, that is just the reality here. It is impressive. So don't let anybody take away your excitement for this baseball team and your excitement for the 8-0 start, because once again, it's not easy to do. We've seen SEC teams losing. We've seen Division I or Power 5 teams losing all the time to mid-majors. That's what college baseball is. There are really good mid-major teams. These Power 5 teams lose games all the time, ladies and gentlemen. It is a normal thing. It is okay to lose a game here and there to a mid-major team. Texas A&M will lose a game to a team they shouldn't. That's just how baseball works. It's going to happen. It always happens once. That's just the reality here. That's why an 8-0 start is so impressive. So I wanted to get that out there because I know there's going to be the people that's, man, I haven't played anybody. Well, they will, and it still doesn't matter. If you are 8-0 in college baseball, it is impressive. So 13-2 win, once again, 7 innings. Jays Lavalette, 3 of 4, 3 RBIs, a homer. I'd have to watch it again, I watched it twice, and it was last night. But it looked like, I mean, what I love about his power is I don't even think he relatively got all of that ball. I think, I mean, he tagged it, but I don't think he got all of it. I think he got 80% of it. And if you can send a baseball over the wall, if you get 80% of it, 70% of it, it just shows the natural raw power you have at the plate. And that's what Jace Lavalette has. I mean, he just has absolute raw power. It's why he's going to be a star. He's going to be a first-round draft pick. I can just tell you this stuff now, and he's going to work his way up, and he's going to be a major leaguer at some point. I can tell the way he swings the bat. I can tell the way that you can just see it in his game. That dude's going to be a pro. That's his 6th homer of the year in 8 games. I mean, what are we on pace for here? I mean, legit. I mean, like he's got a shot to hit 30 bombs. Now, they're not going to come like this in SEC play, but he sends a couple out a week. He legitimately could hit. I mean, I'd have to look at the numbers, but he is on pace, especially if you keep racking him up in the non-conference. He's on pace to do something special when it comes to homers. But he's 3 of 4 in this game, 3 RBIs. And that's what I love to see too. The first weekend, he kind of had that weekend. He was like, well, I hit 5 bombs, but I struck out a whole bunch of times. It was either bomb or strikeout and I don't like that. Over last weekend in this game, of course, he had a homer in this game, but he did have 2 hits. Last weekend against Wagner, he didn't have any homers. He just had a whole bunch of hits, doubles, etc. So I love to see that. Hey, I'm not just a bomb or strikeout guy. I can hit for average as well. 3 RBIs in this game for Lavalette. Ted Burton, 3 of 4, 3 RBIs as well. He had a homer. Jackson Appel, 2 for 3. Just an all-around solid offensive performance once again from Texas A&M. Love to see that. On the mound, Cortez, 4 innings, 5 hits, 4 walks, 2 runs. So what that says to me is you got 9 base runners in 4 innings, and you only allow 2 runs. The reason that I like that is because it shows that he was working around traffic the whole time. I think he had 6 strikeouts. Because he had 6. We had 8 as a team, and he had 2 other pitchers each had 1. So I'm pretty sure he had 6 strikeouts. I didn't write that down. But working through traffic isn't a bad thing, especially when your offense is doing that. I mean, I'm not saying like, hey, yeah, let's walk a couple guys to practice working on traffic. But pitching in high-pressure situations helps. Pitching in high-pressure situations, pitching with runners on base, it makes you better, especially in a game like this where you blow a team out. It's good to kind of get a feel for that. So while some might go, I don't love the 4 walks, which y'all know me, I hate walks. I'm not a fan of walks. I don't like them, not one bit. But so I'd like to see him cut down on that. But as he was better in his last start when it came to walks. But I'll continue to add this. If you are going to be able to work around traffic, that's when I can trust you on the bump. And Cortez in this game worked around traffic. So that is great to see. Pitching as a whole there's only 1 other walk aside of Cortez. Now, only 3 innings more were pitched because it was a 7-inning game, but only 1 more walk, no hit by pitches, 5 free bases. I can live with that for a whole game. I feel better about it if it was a 9-inning game, but still, I can live with that. So good win, once again, 13-2. And that's the other thing is for the most part, there was the one game against Wagner where it was a little bit tight, bit of a pitcher's duel, but for the most part, you're blowing teams out as well. So it's like, yeah, you're playing, a generic early season SEC baseball schedule, but at the same time, you're not playing a lot of games tight. You're blowing teams out. That's kind of the difference here. So I need to pull up when I preview the games for this weekend, which we'll do that probably Friday. I will bring out the run differential on the season. I bet it is crazy. So I'll bring that out. But once again, you play Arizona State twice this weekend. You play USC, and then you play Texas. This is when we're going to find out about this team. You go 3-1 or better in those 4 games, especially with the win over the Longhorns, which is the one everybody wants. If you go 2-1 this weekend and beat Texas, I mean, you're just in a really good. Or hey, go 4-0. Take that too. But once again, this is a really good baseball team. But we're going to learn a whole heck of a lot more about this team this weekend and when the Aggies play the Longhorns. So that's going to be fun. A lot of fun baseball coming up. We will break down this weekend. Like I said, take a look at these teams, kind of previews the matchups there coming up on Friday. Now we got to talk about a must-win game on the hardwood for the Aggies as they host South Carolina. We'll talk about that one coming up right here on Locked On Aggies. But first, I got to tell you about our friends over at FanDuel Sportsbook. Get buckets with your first bet on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 if your bet wins. FanDuel is the best place to go bet on all of your sports action. It's where I go and bet on everything I'm betting on. It's easy to use, fun to use. It just makes the game more fun. You got to go check out FanDuel. I promise you, you'll enjoy it. They'll give you some money when you sign up, and it is a ton of fun. Bet on all of your favorite NBA players and teams with quick bets, live same-game parlays, exclusive props, and a ton more. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and shoot your shot. FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NBA. So, we might not be talking about basketball much longer if Texas A&M can't beat South Carolina tonight in Reed Arena. South Carolina, of course, ranked number 18 in college basketball. I will tell you, having watched this team play about 5 games, I do think they are extremely overrated. That's just the reality. I think their play style, they play solid defense and they play extremely slow basketball. It is miserable to watch. They will take, and this is what's annoying about the way they play, is they will take 27 seconds on the shot clock, throw up a silly shot, and it's going to go in sometimes. But they play slow, they play ugly, and I mean similar to Texas A&M, but Texas A&M plays I think a little bit faster than South Carolina does. But they play ugly, slow, boring basketball. Try to lull you asleep, get baskets down low, take a three if it's open. They work inside to out. It's that kind of team. And if I'll just tell you, if you want to make the NCAA tournament, you got to try and go 4-0 in these next four in your last 4 games. If you go 3-1, you have a chance. You're on the outside looking in right now, according to bracketology. So I think 4-0, you're in. I mean, now once again, some help would be great. But 4-0, I think you're in. If you go 3-1, you have a chance, but it's then out of your hands. You're going to need some teams like Gonzaga and Michigan State to lose some games. Maybe they shouldn't. But a good start would be just winning this basketball game once again. Believe it or not, this was a little bit surprising to me. Let me pull up these numbers. Texas A&M is a 4.5-point favorite as of 6:30 in the morning. And the matchup predictor on ESPN gives the Aggies a 72.3% chance to win this game. So I think that a lot of people agree with me that South Carolina is a tad bit overrated. Going on the road to play Texas A&M, a team that you're supposed to be better than, ranked where you are and where you are in the SEC. I think this says a lot about people's thoughts about South Carolina. But once again, I mean, the way they play slow, they play ugly. They want to, once again, they're averaging 71.8 points per game in their whatever on the season. They've lost 4 games. Let me pull up how many games they've lost. Yeah, they're 22-5. So they're 22-5. And I just think that this says a lot about what people think about them. I don't think they play a difficult non-conference schedule. I think they've done now. They've won some tough games. They beat Kentucky, they beat Tennessee and Knoxville, but then you get steamrolled by Auburn. And I mean, you lose to LSU when you're ahead of them like 12 points or something at one point. Like I think this team is a bit overrated. Now I could see them making the Sweet 16 if they beat somebody in the round of 32. But I do think this team's overrated. So you need to find a way to win this game. It's a must-win game. All four of these games are must-win games. If you go 3-1, you have a chance. But if you lose this game tonight, I think you can pack it in. If you lose this game tonight, we're then talking about having to go 3-0 to have a chance and still needing help. And it includes 2 road games against, I already forget. You got to go to Oxford. Yeah, you got to go to Oxford and you got to go to Athens. And then you host Mississippi State, who is a really good basketball team. So, you have to go for 3-1 or better. And if you lose tonight, I think going 3-0 with 2 road games and then a home game against a solid Mississippi State team, it feels, not impossible, but incredibly difficult to do. So you got to win this game. I think the way you do it is you got to value the basketball. Don't turn it over. Value possessions. They play good defense. Get some good looks. Wade, make your shots. Boots, make your shots. Try and get to the rim. Get fouled. That's how you're going to win this game. But like I said, they like to play slow. You've got to value the basketball. The way they play, you're going to have less possessions because of how long they take. If every possession they're taking an extra 10 seconds off the game clock because of how slow they are, you got to know that, and you've got to be able to play slow with them. So, that's going to be the key here. If you win this game, you're still alive. If you lose it, you are in a lot of trouble when it comes to making the NCAA tournament. That is going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Aggies. Thank you all so much for being here every single day. I really do appreciate it. I hope everybody has a great rest of their day today, and we will see you tomorrow.